Hello and welcome to Twisted Britain, a podcast on true crime in Britain with a sprinkling of the weird and the macabre. And your hosts are me, Bob Dale.
And me, Nadine Royal. We're a couple of friends who met in the pub and developed a friendship based on our mutual love of booze, podcasts and pub quizzes. We met in the Settle Inn in Stirling, and that's where we record.
Each week we'll both tell a story of something twisted. One long one and one short one. And we'll decide who goes first.
Based on the flip of a coin that I've just handed you.
Yeah, I kind of hoped you were going to give me the pirate coin.
Oh, I do have that. It might actually be in one of these very pockets.
For those of you listening who haven't listened to recent episodes, I am just out of my panto run. And part of the panto we were doing with Dick Whittington, we were on a pirate ship.
It was lovely.
Well, thank you. Nadine came and saw us, and she had a quite good laugh at me dancing around on the stage like a knob.
Always.
But, yeah, part of it, we had some pirate treasure, and one of the coins had a skull and crossbones on it, and I went, that is perfectly Twisted Britain.
I'm sure I just put it in this pocket. Okay.
Ah, well, we've got a coin here. Anyway.
I put it do you know what I did? I did that classic thing of putting it somewhere safe. Because I'm sure I put it in one of these pockets, and then I proceeded to go into Glasgow to meet my family.
Have you spent it on a chippy?
No, I think I got a bit pissed, and I put it somewhere, in quotes, safe, and now it's too safe to find.
Well, we have a coin anyway. How's you anyway?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you, yeah.
Good.
We are in the cellar of the pub again.
Yes, we are.
Recording on a Wednesday night, which is a bit different for us. So it's folk night.
It's folk night. It's rather busy out there. It's full of folk musicians, many instruments, a lot of merriment. It's quite nice.
Sounds ace, actually.
It is nice out there.
So it might be a slightly longer break than normal while we listen to some music. But,
yeah, sorry.
They won't notice.
Yeah, no. And that's his book. How are you? What have you been up to? Apart from pantoing, it's all done now, isn't it?
Yeah, literally just kind of getting back to normal after panto. It was a lot of work. You do 8, when we do 7 shows in 5-6 days, the world becomes a bit of a blur. But I did manage to edit the Patreon episode backstage during panto.
So proud of you. That's
Thanks.
Commitment to the cause.
Didn't even miss an entrance. Take that as you will.
I do like the fact that your thing this year was, "Hi everybody," and we all had to shout, "Oh no, what was it? I've forgotten my lines."
I don't know my lines.
And then we'd all have to shout, "It's the same every year."
So for our international listeners, panto is a very British tradition that is usually...
I'm not sure if it started in Britain though. I think it's French.
Pantomime is a French word, but I think panto itself is very British.
It's a British tradition now.
So it's one of the kind of fairy tale stories of Dick Whittington, Cinderella.
It's a lot of
Babes in the
silliness always. There's always like a man dressed as a dame doing like one of like, normally like the mother role is assigned to a man. There's always a village idiot, which strangely, Bob, you seem to be playing most years.
I like to class myself as the village dickhead. And then I do
I think
panto.
the whole of Stirling classes you as that, do they not?
So it was good fun. Hopefully some of you saw the photo of me in costume. It wasn't as fancy a costume as last year.
No, last year's was pretty good.
Other than panto, what have you been doing?
Just working, to be honest. I'm getting ready to not move job, but slightly move job.
Move offices.
Yeah, which is really exciting. I'm really psyched about it, actually. I've been on 2 Christmas nights out because of that, which has been quite good. Hence, us on a Wednesday. I could not come to Stirling last night. I was too hungover. Couldn't leave Anna's couch until about 10:30 at night. So, you know how it is. Did some wild karaoke.
Wild karaoke?
There's one video of me doing karaoke, which I hope never sees the light of day.
I'd love you to share it,
it's
please.
It's so bad.
We'll take a poll. If you're listening now... Give us a shout if you want to see that video. We'll definitely post it if we get enough people saying so.
Oh God, I don't know.
On a rather sadder note,
yes,
than is normal for this time of year, the Settle Inn where we record every week has a very close knit group of regulars.
We're a family.
Yes, I would go with that. And they're all incredibly wonderful people. And sadly, we lost one of our most wonderful men this week.
We did. We'd like to tribute this episode to him, to Chris, who I've known for a great many years now, having been a barmaid in the Settle Inn for such a long time, and I've gotten to know him very, very well over the years, and I just had nothing but love for the man. He was in here pretty much every night. He was one of the biggest characters. He characterized this pub with his laugh, his stories, his songs. He never knew what a podcast was, but he supported us nonetheless.
He was Twisted Britain's biggest fan without ever listening to a podcast.
Never once.
So this one for us is for Chris.
Is.
And for those of you who like listening to us on a regular basis, know how much the Settle Inn means to us too. So If you have a drink and you're listening, please do have a drink just now. And if you don't, have one later on.
Yeah. But much love to Chris and to his family and to the Settle-In family and everybody affected and involved.
So we'll move on from that because it's not the most pleasant of things, but we felt we needed to say something.
I feel a bit like I'm sitting a bit like got a keg between my legs.
I beg your pardon.
You heard.
And speaking of merry things, it is almost Christmas.
I know.
Oh, in fact, it's just...
This comes out on the 17th. No, it doesn't. Because that was yesterday.
That was yesterday.
This comes out on the
27th.
Hey,
So it's
I
just
hope
been
you had a
Christmas.
lovely Christmas.
We haven't done a particularly Christmas episode
Mine's
this year.
nothing to do with Christmas, I'm afraid.
So this is your pause from all the festivities to listen to something that's not about Santa.
Yeah, get over it. Christmas is done now.
But Merry Christmas to you all.
I feel like I had something to say about Christmas, actually.
It's too late. It's after Christmas now.
That's what I was literally thinking before I came through tonight. Don't forget to remind everybody of something. It's gone.
Just enjoy Krampus. Sounds like something you would say.
He's been and gone. That was on the 5th.
Oh, well.
Jesus, what was that?
Well, this is about Jesus, yeah. I'm going to say let's flip the coin.
Yeah, fuck it, do it. Tails, you go first.
It's heads, you're up.
Oh, hello.
And you're on Long Story this evening.
I am indeed. And in classic tradition, it's probably not as long as it should be.
But you did tell me you've done a load of citation...
Probably the most references I've ever had to use for a single story, actually, apart from my Bronson.
Well, I look forward to it.
Thanks very much. So, this is actually a very recent story, and it's the story of a man called Tudor Simionov.
Oh, okay.
Did you hear of him?
No, don't know this.
So Tudor Simionov was 33, and he was knifed in the chest in the early hours of January the 1st, 2019.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Happy New Year. Yeah, I was like looking into it. I was going to do maybe like a Christmassy, New Year-ish kind of thing, and this is what I found, and then I read it and thought it was just such a sad story that I just wanted to cover it just for the sake of people knowing the story, you know?
Yep, sounds good.
So he was knifed in the chest while working at an unlicensed party held at 80 Park Lane in the Mayfair area of London. And this was the first of this year. There were 9 door supervisors that had been employed to control entry, which included Tudor. A group of gatecrashers turned violent when they were refused entry to the event organised by Lord Edward Davenport, who is famously known as the Lord of Fraud. Have you heard of him?
No.
He's like quite famous for partying with like celebrities and socialites and has been that way for years. The party has been described as being a sex party in a few publications. I'm not too sure if that's absolutely accurate, but it was at least a private party of some description.
It'll have been a bit sexy anyway.
Probably. So Lord Davenport came to prominence in the late 1980s as the organiser of the controversial Gatecrasher balls for wealthy teenagers. Which sounds quite fun.
Gatecrasher balls sounds hilarious.
I know. It's quite...
Is that Ed Ball's brother?
Gatecrasher. He was... It's like a bit... what's the word I'm looking for? Well, it's like a bit funny that he used to host these Gatecrasher balls and then it's Gatecrashers that then ruin his party and cause this to happen.
Oh, the irony.
That's the word, thank you. After being convicted of tax offences in 1990, he started on a second career as a property developer. From 2005, till 2009, he was the ringmaster of a series of advance-free fraud schemes that defrauded dozens of individuals out of millions of pounds. He was arrested and charged in December 2009 and was convicted in September 2011, along with 5 other defendants, receiving a jail sentence of 7 years and 8 months. He was also forced to pay £13 million to the Serious Fraud Office. And I love the fact that they're called the Serious Fraud Office.
Not just your regular fraud.
Nah, this is serious fraud.
This is a serious one. You like your money stories at the moment, don't
you?
I
know, I'm quite about that. This was accidental. This is just a buy story to set the scene. He was then released in 2015 due to health concerns from prison, and has since managed to claw back nearly £2 million of the sum he was forced to pay by claiming double counting by the Serious Fraud Office.
So the Serious Fraud were frauding him?
Apparently so. And he's managed to win $2 million of it back, so...
That's not great.
Not fab. So, according to an employee at the party, where tables cost £2,000, by the way, at this party, Lord Davenport was helping with payments at the door when the thugs attempted to storm the venue. During the brawl which ensued, Tudor was stabbed in the chest and 5 other members of staff were injured, which was all caught on mobile phone footage, which then became very crucial in the case. The attack would prove to be fatal for Tudor, and he died inside the property after having been taken to the bathroom by someone to try and find something to stem the bleeding with. It was widely said that Tudor died protecting the guests inside and was just trying to do his job at the time. He wasn't getting involved in the brawl for the sake of a fight or anything. He wasn't a mean man. He was just honestly trying to do his job and stop these violent men coming inside the party.
Okay.
By the end of January 2019, the police had arrested 3 men in relation to the stabbing. The men, aged 20, 23 and 25, were all charged with murder. The youngest of these suspects was treated for injuries after a police raid at an address in Brent, northwest London. Scotland Yard said he was detained by a police dog after jumping from a window and attempting to run away. Fuck you. You deserved that.
So he was grabbed by a police dog.
Yeah, a police dog took him down and they had to be treated for his injuries.
When you say detained by a police dog, I've got this image in my head of some wee dog with a hat on and going, right, Sonny, stop there.
Excuse me, sir, stop. The 25-year-old was arrested after handing himself in at a central London police station, and the third man was arrested in Hammersmith, West London, and charged with violent disorder as well as murder. Another 25-year-old man was charged with violent disorder, and a 26-year-old woman was charged with perverting the course of justice. The police continued to hunt for 2 other suspects, though, who were namely Osama Hamid, who was 25, and Noor Aden Hamada, who was 23. Unfortunately, what they didn't know was that Hamid had fled the country and was bound for Morocco the day after the stabbing.
He went, I'm out of here.
Yeah, immediately jumped ship. He remains now, still to this day, wanted by Scotland Yard for murder, wounding and violent disorder. Tudor's fiancée, Madalena Angel, who was 23, issued many public statements at the time in an attempt to appeal to Hamid. She said, "Bringing him to justice will help me find closure after all that has happened." She also said, "Right now I can't think about him in the past. He was my future husband and we came to London from Romania for a better life. I can't explain in words how much pain I am in. He was a really good man. We were happily and excitedly talking about having children together."
So they had their lives sorted.
Yeah, so they literally, this happened a few months after they moved from Romania.
That's really sad.
Really sad, because they came over hoping for this much better life, they could get decent jobs, build a family and build a life and be much, much happier. And instead, this has to happen.
And it sounds like he was an active member of, he wasn't here just doing, he was here working.
100%. Doing the right thing. In July of this year, 2019, the trial to sentence Tudor's killers began at the Old Bailey. Unemployed Adam Khalil, who was 21 from Kingsbury, northwest London, and Haroon Akram, who was 26 from Fulham, pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter on the second day of their trial. The pleas were accepted by the prosecution and the pair were formally found guilty of manslaughter by the jury on the directions of the judge. A third defendant, Ahmed Munajed, 26 from Hammersmith, West London, pleaded guilty to violent disorder. Adam El Shalkaneh, 24 from Hammersmith, was cleared of violent disorder, and Hamid's girlfriend, Shema Lamrani, who was 26 and from Ealing, was accused of throwing away Hamid's knife, was not found guilty of perverting the course of justice in the end. She was also let away.
But she did throw the knife away and...
She wasn't found guilty of it.
Right, okay.
So, no, by the eyes of the law.
Sorry, I thought you meant there that she was found not guilty of not perverting the course of justice.
So she was accused of throwing away Hamid's knife.
Which would account to perverting the course of justice. Sorry. I am.
She was found not guilty. No, you're fine. There's a lot of names and a lot of charges going on there.
Trying to process this.
Another defendant, Barbara Noor Hamada, who was from Wembley, 23, of no fixed abode, denied murder and 5 wounding charges, and so his trial continued on. He was found guilty of violent disorder, but jurors were unable to reach a verdict on a murder charge. Noor Hamada was acquitted of 4 counts of wounding in the case, but the jury could not decide whether he was guilty of murder after 55 hours of deliberation.
Wow.
They just could not. I think the evidence wasn't substantial enough. The only evidence they really had in the end was this mobile phone footage, which showed a mass brawl with loads of people involved and people everywhere. And I think obviously witness statements and stuff. He pled not guilty and said I didn't stab anybody. I was involved in the fight and I was there, but I didn't stab anybody.
Sounds like one that in Scottish courts would have been a not proven.
Yes.
Rather than a not guilty.
Yeah, 100%. According to the footage recorded, Akram was seen being held by one of the doormen before a scuffle began on the bonnet of a parked Lamborghini outside the property. The footage also showed Hamid, 25, wielding a knife as the fight continued. Tudor came outside to intervene in the attack on one of his colleagues and was stabbed in the chest because of it. Despite being fatally injured, the victim delivered a blow and managed to strike Hamid down. The whole incident took just 6 minutes to begin and to end.
That's a lot to happen in 6 minutes.
So much to happen. So
but I suppose when you're in that scenario, 6 minutes is a really long time.
A real long time. So there was 9 doormen and then these 5 or 6 kind of people involved in this kind of brawl, and it was just kind of absolute
carnage.
Just totally mental on the doorstep and on the street outside this Mayfair property, this big fancy property.
That's what I was going to say, when you've got a Lamborghini parked outside, I'd be like, get off my car.
Yeah, £2,000 a table. It's a fancy bloody place,
Oh, I'm buying 2.
Oh, I hope I've got a seat at said table.
Absolutely not. I know you far too well to take you to a posh party.
Can I bring one of these kegs to sit on that instead?
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Bring your own keg. Following the trial, Tudor's fiancée, Madalena, said, and this is quite a lengthy quote, but I felt like all of it was really important and quite solemn.
Yep, go for it.
I'm pleased those involved have been convicted, but we must now keep working to find Osama Hamid, who remains on the run from police. Nothing can change the past, and we cannot bring Tudor back, but finding Osama Hamid and bringing him to justice will help me find closure after all that has happened. I would ask anyone who has any information on his whereabouts to speak to police as soon as possible. Imagine how you would feel knowing one of those involved in the death of your loved one was still walking free. Someone, somewhere, must know where he is. Tudor and I met 3 years ago at university in Romania, and in October 2018 moved to London to start a new life. Tudor was a professional rower who had been successful in many competitions. He believed that moving to England would be an opportunity to focus on his sport. On December 31st, 2018, Tudor had gone to work as normal when his life was suddenly taken away. He just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was simply unlucky. Tudor was only 33 years old and we had planned our whole lives together. He was always thinking about everyone else and putting others first. He was the kindest person I knew, and by losing him, I have lost everything. We were meant to be getting married this summer, but instead of attending our wedding, I've been attending court. Instead of going to the church to arrange our wedding, I was going to the church to bury him. My life has been turned upside down.
That's terrible.
Isn't that fucking horrible?
That's just terrible's not even the right word. That is just mind numbing.
It's horrible, isn't it?
She must be in such a horrible place.
And even still now, one of them still hasn't even been sentenced, or caught or anything. It's just fucking horrible.
He's in
almost a year
Morocco.
On. Well, that's what this one publication that I read said, was that he fled the country bound for Morocco, but whether he even reached there or not, who even knows? I don't think anybody. So far, there's no information.
Unless he comes back to here or they get a lead about where he is, he may never get sentenced.
Well, no, exactly. I just think when I was reading through this, I just found her statement especially so poignant. I just couldn't.
It's really harrowing. Yeah.
It is, isn't it? I just can't imagine losing somebody that you loved for such a stupid fucking reason. The only reason this happened was because they were trying to break in to this party and gate crash the party, and were so upset by the fact they weren't allowed in to a private party that they stabbed somebody. Fuck up. Idiot. Acting Detective Chief Inspector Gary Moncrief, who led the investigation, said, "This was a sustained and brutal attack. Their actions that night have left Tudor's family completely devastated, and their lives will never be the same. These men attempted to evade police, but thanks to a painstaking investigation, which included hundreds of hours trawling through CCTV and mobile phone footage, they are now likely to be spending a long time behind bars and off our streets." He also said, "We believe Osama Hamid played a significant role in this attack, and we are determined to find him and get Tudor's family the justice they deserve." The police actually have an incident room number specially dedicated to any information that leads to Hamid, who, by the way, supposedly delivered the final blow, who actually stabbed
the fatal blow.
Tudor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that number, if anybody actually listening by chance has information,
of course, yeah,
fucking report it. The number is 0208 358 0300. 0208 358 0300. That is
fine.
And I just thought, I don't know, it's not as long as maybe it should have been for a long, sorry there, but I read it and researched it, and then I just couldn't let it go. I'm really annoyed about it.
No, I can see why, because it's one of those ones you're like...
It's just so pointless.
Yeah, it's the pointless crime, and it's the fact that it was done against a man trying to do his job.
Mm-hmm. He wasn't doing anything. It wasn't a few drunk people all out on New Year getting in some stupid fight and one of them pulls a knife. He was hired to do a job, and at the time, in fact, so sadly, he was actually inside the building monitoring like CCTV and stuff like that, and like doing inside security. And then the brawl kicked off, and he went out to assist his colleagues who were getting like the shit kicked out of them in the street. Went out to assist, and he gets stabbed.
Yeah,
how was that fair?
It's one of those things. Like this may sound ridiculous, but growing up, you always hate bouncers because they're seen as the ones that get in your way from having a good night out.
Yeah,
I'm not pished. Let me in. Blah blah blah. But you've got to remember that they're the ones that are sober at the time, and although there are the odd occasion where people are on a power trip, it doesn't sound like that was the case here at all.
No.
It just sounds like he was, like you say, he was literally doing his job and went in to go, this has gotten out of hand. I need to lend my weight to this as well. And it's just, and he's the one that's come off, well, the worst.
The worst, yeah. The other 5 people that were injured were like released from hospital very quickly. Like none of them were in even a life-threatening condition or anything like that. Like they were all just kind of minorly injured. Whereas he was stabbed square in the chest and died inside like a party that he was just working at, like just with colleagues around him. That's so sad.
Yeah, and it's not been a dirty minging nightclub.
No, a real nice one. Well, a real nice private party.
Well, I think, and that's what I was going to say. Like, if you've been hired to be, you're not even a bouncer at that point. You're security, door
I don't
staff.
even think you'd be that worried about it, would you? You'd be like, it should be a pretty good night.
I wouldn't have thought so.
And then these arseholes turn up, try and like gate crash this party that they've obviously heard about somehow. And it's just gone terribly awry. And I just think, I'm just gutted that most of them, like, justice was served to, but one of them, supposedly the one who actually caused the fatality, is just still out roaming around.
Just,
doing what he wants.
Probably not giving a fuck.
Probably not. Fuck you if you're listening.
I mean, if you are listening, hand yourself in. If you are listening,
hello.
I'm amazed at that. I've said this before and I'll say it again, probably many times as we record this. The worst thing about this planet is human beings.
100%. I hate them so much.
And I don't mean everybody in that. Please don't everybody stop listening, because I don't hate all of you. But it's all of the stories we tell are because of human beings. But when it's a case like that, I'm just like, somebody's walked away from this knowing that they've done something wrong and just gone, meh, whatever, and not giving a shit about.
Fled the country knowing full well they were going to get done for it, and that's just that.
Yeah, and it's not even, it's very sad that he's lost his life and everything like that, but the wife, I feel incredibly sorry for the wife there. She's
so sad for her.
She's come over here looking to do the right thing, and
they were literally due to get married this summer, and like she said in her statement, I've spent my summer in court. I was meant to be going to a church to get married instead of gone to a church to bury my to-be husband. How dreadful. Yeah,
really sad. Well, yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Sorry about that there.
No, that's all right. No, actually, I totally see why you've gone with that story. I think if I'd seen that, I'd have gone, I think I'd like to tell that as well.
I just feel like it's dead important.
Yeah.
I just thought it was an important one, because I never heard anything about it, and it was only this year.
Well, the only one that's grabbed me like that was my Breck Bednar one.
Oh, Dotton, let's not.
That was the only one that's ever, like...
That was really important, that one.
All the stories we tell, I enjoy, and there's not one I could pick out of the 80-odd stories we've told now.
Yeah, this is episode 40.
That I would go, wish we hadn't done that. But, that one...
Some of them just stick with you, though. And I feel like this one's gonna just... See that big, long... Like, normally, when I, like, research my cases and stuff, normally, the kind of, like... what are they called? It's like the... It's normally a statement released by, like, a spouse, a parent, somebody close to the victim. And it's always...
like a witness plea or a family plea type thing. I can't remember what
they're called. There's, like, a special name for it. It's like... They're specially kind of not designed, but they're allowed to release them in an attempt to make everybody aware of how they're feeling and like plead to somebody's better.
Oh, yeah, it's public awareness and it's to try and flush out the person that's done it.
And mostly when I read them, they're like mostly articles kind of just give you like a snippet like of it. Like they'll give you like a couple of sentences, like the most kind of harrowing part of it, maybe like one whole paragraph about like, oh, he was at school and he was doing all this and stuff like that. But that one was just so lengthy, and I read the whole thing, and I was like, I'm not going to edit that. I don't want to. Like, I feel like it's so important that people hear what she said about her lovely, lovely husband.
It's usually me that does I'm going to now read this page and a half of stuff. It saves me looking up stuff. But no, I think you're absolutely right. I think that was well just and well read.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have no issue with that being slightly shorter than a normal long, and
thanks.
And I think it was one that was worth telling.
Thanks. And just as an aside, if you are out this holiday season, please spare a thought for your pub and bar and club workers and your bouncers and the people that are trying their best to give you a merry, merry, lovely holiday season. As a barmaid for many years, you look forward to the festive season because most people are going to be in a good mood. People are out and about. It's Christmas. It's New Year. Woo! You know, like, it's a lovely time. I used to love working Christmas and New Year behind the bar, but you do get those select few who go a bit too far over the holiday season and get real fucking arsey. And just don't be that person, okay?
And now here we are recording a podcast together.
What up?
No, my thing for that is I've never worked in a pub. So I've never done pulling a pint. In fact, the first pint I ever pulled was in here because Jock
couldn't be arsed.
Couldn't be bothered, so I had to go and do it myself. Made an absolute hash of it and had a flake in it at the end of it, but never mind. Buy your favourite barman a drink.
Yes.
Over the Christmas period. It'll go a long way.
It goes the longest of ways. Yeah. And just say to them, you know, if it's like, especially if it's like your local or something, just say to them on New Year, on Christmas, whatever, you know, I appreciate you. Year round, you're in here serving me alcohol when I'm sitting here having a lovely old time. Or sometimes when I'm not and you're still here for me, I appreciate the fuck out of you. Thanks so much for all your work. And I think everybody should be told that, actually. Thanks, everybody, for all your hard work. Merry fucking Christmas.
I'm going to take Judgy McJudgerson away here now, and we're going to have a wee break before we come back and do my not any better happy story.
Merry, merry.
I got some facts for you I think you'll like.
I'm excited.
No, I'm excited.
Oh. That was it.
Go on,
I
then.
remember what I was going to remind everybody of.
Go on.
Don't forget, it's the festive season. Now is the time to start Googling for elf porn.
Oh, yes,
it's time to get our statistics right back. Like, let's beat the 64% that we normally hit, people.
A status I never thought I'd read on a public page. That's
what made me think of it.
Was one of our wonderful members of our
discussion group
gave us an update of the stats, and apparently it's now Sunday is the best day for a sad wank.
Yeah, is it Monday? Friday's still the highest, like, is the best day for porn, but now Sunday is official sad wank day.
Sunday sad wank day.
If you feel like having a cry wank, Sunday's the day to do it, folks.
Do it in the shower and nobody can see your tears.
At least at this time of year, please make it an elf porn cry wank.
Get those stats up, everybody.
Let's beat last year.
We'll see you in a soon.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Ben, the host of Dark Histories podcast. Every other week, I turn my eye towards the fringe and unsolved aspects of our history. In each episode, I dig deep to bring you tales from large cultural events to smaller localised legends, from Victorian poisonings to cults, and from the unknown to the simply unexplainable. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and all other platforms, or head directly to darkhistories.com. I hope you'll come join me soon to delve into the underbelly of the strange.
And that's us back.
Hello.
I managed to, during our break, get a little snippet of the folk music, which I will stick in now. Hey! I hope you like that.
Wasn't that lovely?
That's what we've been listening to during our break. It's just a wee, like I say, a wee snippet. But yeah, there must be 50 folk out there.
It's always busy on a folk night.
It's mad, isn't it? I like it a lot.
I know. Brings in the tourists as well. They go mad for this shit.
Oh, yeah.
It is lovely, though. We taste of Scotland here in the Settle-In.
Oi!
Oi!
So, this week...
Facts, all the facts.
I am going to start my... It's not going to be as long
Oh, shit. Are we starting it now?
Oh, yeah. We're starting my mini-series. It's not going to be as long a mini-series as my Glasgow Square Mile one.
Thank God.
I might piss off. I might do 2 or 3 weeks of it. And for a long story, I might cover 2 different stories in the same week. But for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, my random research and random mind led me to decide that I want to do a wee thing about spies.
So excited about it.
I think
Do you know, I just forgot that you were doing spies. In my head, I thought you were doing a mini-series on pirates.
I may well one day do a mini-series on pirates. I've done a pirate before.
I know you have. I'm excited. I forgot it was spies, and now I'm re-hyped.
I think it's mainly... I think I watched a Bond recently and went, spies? Why have I not thought of them before? And also, I do enjoy the word espionage.
That's a great word. I hope that there's going to be... I'd like there to be secret letters written in cum.
There might not be... You do remember that when we talked about this was in a Patreon-only episode.
Oh.
So I'll come to that. We'll talk about...
Well, just to keep it cryptic, if you want to know what I'm talking about, secret messages written in cum, brown horses, and fishing.
Yep. Fine.
Head to Patreon.
Well, I can skip out a paragraph of my notes now. But anyway.
Please start. I'm excited.
That's all right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a bit of background into the Tower of London.
Oh, yes.
Before I start this. The reason being that if you look at the history of the Tower of London, obviously it has a massive, massive history. It used to be the place in London where, and actually probably for the UK, where big executions happened. I'll talk about a couple of people that were executed there in a second. But it stopped being a place of execution for a while until the start of the Great War in 1914. And it was used as a kind of symbol place for execution. So this week, my story is on... Now, I'm going to say his name once and then I'm going to use his second name from then on.
Is it because it's really hard to say?
It's Ludovico.
Oh. One more. Go on.
Ludovico Hurwitz-y-Zender.
Wow.
I'm going to go with Zender.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Or Ludo.
I quite like Ludo. That's quite cute.
We'll go with Ludo then. Cute's probably not the right word for an enemy of the state.
Fuck you, Ludo.
So anyway, like I say, the Tower of London has been used as a place of execution for hundreds and hundreds of years. The number of people executed in the tower is estimated to be around about 150 people. There are some notable names in the execution list, including 2 queens. Want to take a guess at the queens?
It wasn't Mary, Queen of Scots, was she?
No.
She was... No, I can't remember who she was. 2 queens. I can't think of any.
2 of them, they were both wives of Henry VIII.
Oh, of course they were. That's silly.
So if you do your wee rhyme, the 2 that were beheaded were at the Tower of London.
What rerun?
The rhyme essentially is just divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived.
And that's the 6 wives?
Yeah, but it's not completely accurate because there was an annulment
rather than a divorce
of the first one, which was Catherine of Aragon. Then
Lucky.
Anne Boleyn was beheaded at the Tower of London, but technically they had their marriage annulled before the beheading.
Unlucky.
Jane Seymour died. Anne of Cleves was annulled again, so the divorced. Catherine Howard was beheaded at the Tower of London, and Catherine Parr was the one that survived.
Wooey.
So that was divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived.
And the 2 beheaded were at the Tower of London.
And so they're the 2.
Gotcha.
The 2 of the most famous people beheaded at the Tower of London. So up until 1780, which is when they kind of stopped using it as a place of execution. They started using it as it was still used as a prison, but it became a tourist attraction kind of, rather than an actual place of this is where we're going to do it. So up until the point of 1780, 93 people had been beheaded there. 12 people had been hanged. 3 people had been killed by firing squad. 2 had been burned at the stake. And 11 had been hanged, drawn, and quartered. I
didn't know that they did burnings at the stake at the Tower of London.
My guess would be witches.
Witches.
And my hanged, drawn, and quartered, I wondered if that tied into one of the stories you told recently.
Well, yeah, that might have been, actually. It might have been from my November the 5th.
So yeah, I wondered if it was kind of Guy Fawkes.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, it might have been, because that is where... Was that Tower of London? No. Remember, they built him a special scaffolding of his own.
I think it was
for his own demise.
But I think it was on Execution Green at Tower of London.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we digress.
We're trying to get spies here.
Sorry.
So, for a period of well over 100 years, from 1780, it wasn't used as a place of execution. It was, like I say, it was still a jail, but not your final resting place type scenario, until the breakout of the First World War in 1914. As time progressed, basically throughout the war, they decided that it was going to be the place that they would execute spies as a public showing of don't do this. So 11 people were executed during the First World War, all by firing squad, all sat in the same chair in the Tower of London. And one was executed in the Second World War, again by firing squad in the same chair as the First World War. Pretty much as soon as the war started, there were spies on both sides of the campaign. Obviously, there was Allied spies that were going over to Germany to try and break the codes and everything over there, but there was also spies coming over from Germany to Britain. What I found interesting in my research is a lot of them weren't German. A lot of them were part of the Axis's outreach, so South American, mainly South American. Obviously, there's some German ones in there. But I thought it would be nice to tell you a small mini-series about a few of them that I found interesting.
Yeah, I'd love that.
So I'm not going to cover all 12 of them, because that would take us up...
That would not be a mini-series.
That would take us up till like the end of 2020 as well. But I kind of just... Like I said, I kind of not fell in love with the idea of it, but I just thought, this is a really interesting thing that I didn't know anything about. So I thought I'd tell you about one of them in particular. I have already covered Augusto Alfredo Rogan.
The famous one.
Who was in one of our Patreon episodes.
The Uruguayan.
Yes, and he is the worst of the list. Like,
he's the worst spy I've ever bloody heard of.
And I don't mean worst by...
He was a bad man.
He was a bad man. He did really well. I mean, like, he did really badly. He was a shit spy.
He was real shit. Head over to our Patreon if you want to know more about him, because it is worth listening to, actually, that one.
So, like I say, for this week, I thought I would start off my wee series with Ludovico Hurwitz-y-Zender.
Beautiful.
37-year-old Zender became the last spy to be shot during the Great War, or the First World War. Zender had been born in Lima in Peru in 1878. His father was from Peru, and Zender was reasonably well educated and fluent in French and English. You know, he was he wasn't a poor man. He had been pretty well educated and spent most of his first 35 years in Peru. So he was a man when he decided to leave Peru. He did leave Peru in 1914 at the beginning of the war, and he traveled via the United States to Europe, claiming that, now this is always my favorite part, is what do they tell people they are?
Yeah.
So he claimed he was a tradesman selling paper products, including napkins.
Ooh.
So it's obviously a big trade.
Using his French well there.
Hello, I am selling you these napkins.
Oh my God. That was better than your Irish accent, I suppose.
Thank you. I can speak a bit of French. Irish, I can. So he traveled to Europe via New York, onto Bergen, Oslo, and Copenhagen before finally arriving in Glasgow.
Bonjour.
July 1915. So he's been in the country for the best part of a year by this point, and as was such of the time, the kind of British security forces were checking telegrams and checking posts and all that kind of stuff, and they managed to find 5 telegrams that were sent from Glasgow to a man called August Bruckner in Oslo, in Norway, which Xander had already been traveling to. Problem being, he was known to the British intelligence services as being, he wasn't a spy as such. That's August Bruckner wasn't a spy as such, but he was known as being working for the German intelligence agencies. However, the telegrams were signed by Zender. So the police decided that they'll have a quick look into this because it's a bit odd to be sending it to somebody that was involved in the security services. But when they arrived at his residence on Union Street in Glasgow, they found that he wasn't actually there. In fact, he had vacated the property the previous day and headed down to Newcastle to sail to Bergen. And when he left the country, he didn't know that he was a wanted man. Like, he didn't know that they were investigating into him. He just jumped on a boat and buggered off. So the police service thought, he doesn't know that we know that we're looking for him. He doesn't know that we know that whatever, But so there's every chance he's going to return to the country. So based on that kind of hunch as such, they decided to wait it out. And what they did was they waited at Newcastle docks. And on the 2nd of July, he arrived back in Newcastle dock on the SS Vega. He was immediately arrested and taken to Scotland Yard, where he claimed he'd just been visiting Germany to buy sardines. No. I'm just out looking for some tiny fish. I want to export them to Peru. That's the only reason I'm here.
I came all the way here for some fucking sardines. Really? These spy cover stories are just not cutting it for me.
Yeah. Biggest problem with this is obviously he's claiming he's gone to Germany. Oh, no, look, I'm setting up a wee trade deal. Oh, is there a war going on? Didn't quite realise that.
Sorry.
He did have a letter from Germany to say, yeah, no, he
just wants sardines. What can I say? He's mad about them.
It said a letter in the stuff I read. But I guess it was maybe like a purchase order or a proof of sale or something like that. Problem with that is that in July, it's not sardine fishing season. So you're not getting many sardines when there's none around.
He's really not done very good research before he set up his cover story here.
That's a common theme throughout all of the story.
I feel like spies are normally portrayed as being very prepared and like especially cover story. Normally you've got that shit on the lockdown. You don't want to get arrested for being a spy. Get a better story.
I know, and what's really sad about that is, like I say, I think I'd watched Bond and gone,
yeah.
I'm looking at spies.
That's what I mean.
He's like the atypical,
he's like tip top,
wonderful man. Well, not a wonderful man. He was a nasty man.
Top
Bond,
cat of the spy world, though.
Nails it.
No, he knows what he's doing.
None of these guys that I've looked into, and I've read 4 or 5 of their kind of stories now, and I've gone, none of them have got this right.
Do you know what, actually? I've just seen a fatal flaw in why we're like criticizing them, though.
Go on.
If they were really good spies with really good cover stories, we wouldn't even know they were spies for you to talk about them.
And
we're only left with the shit ones who got caught.
Well, that's true, because there was 11 executed that I have read. I've read a few stories about them, but there was definitely more than 11 spies.
You'd think.
If Germany only had 11 spies during the war,
why were we so worried?
And we caught all of them.
Good job, Bryn.
Well done. Top job. So on closer inspection of the telegrams that he'd sent and signed, so they knew they'd definitely come from him, they'd managed to work out that he's using sardines as a cover. Mm-hmm. But what he was doing was actually sending information about shipping movement down the Forth Clyde.
Oh.
Forth of Clyde? The Firth of Clyde.
Mm-hmm.
Just mixed 2 rivers up there. You're fine. So he was talking about the shipping movement in the Firth estuary down the Clyde, and that was the biggest shipbuilding area in Britain at the time.
How is he doing that?
Just, I would imagine talking about...
in code, he was like, sardines not good that right now, too many ships coming down the Firth.
Something, yeah. You'd be such a shit spy. He just winked at the end of that sentence.
They can't see me.
So it was fairly obvious what he was doing, sending this information around. And they decided to arrest him based on the fact that, well, this wasn't about fish.
Hmm.
So Zender was taken to trial in March of 1916 in Westminster. There was quite a delay in the trial because they had to try and get evidence from Peru and not a quick journey to Peru at that point. and they needed to get evidence that actually he wasn't sending fish back. Just trying to gather everything they possibly could together. So he was sent to prison to be held during his time. He was visited by the Peruvian embassy to try and speak to him, and they were like, "What are you up to, mate?" And he was like, "No, just sardines." And they're like, "There's nothing to do with sardines in here."
What colour? Brown?
Yeah, stop doing jokes that people won't get. He pleaded not guilty, which is a common theme for all the spies. They basically said, "Nope, nothing to do with me, not spying."
Yep.
Fish.
Yep.
He was, however, convicted and sentenced to death. He appealed his sentencing, and he was also he appealed his sentences, and the Peruvian embassy also appealed his sentencing, and basically went, "Look, you don't have enough evidence to press on this. You can't prove it." And they were like, "We kind of can." He was involved at this level of sending information and that kind of stuff. So he was found guilty at trial, and he was sent to execution on the 11th of April, 1916. So Zender was executed by a firing squad composed of members of the 3rd Battalion Scots Guard. Now, they are, although it's a Scots Guard, they were the people that were stationed at the Tower of London throughout the wars.
Yeah.
They were the people that charged with the kind of protection of Tower of London, and they were the ones that drew the firing squad for. Now, a wee bit about firing squads. The way it worked was Zender, in this case, would have been placed in a chair. Single, like, standard dining room table type chair with the kind of...
With a back on it.
Back on it, rounded top, and spires up it.
You're painting a lovely picture here.
And the spies were sat in the chair, blindfolded, and the firing squad.
Not always, though, isn't it? You could choose not to be blindfolded.
No, because all of them were blindfolded.
Oh.
They could choose to refuse it, but I think they were blindfolded anyway.
Do you want a blindfold? No thanks. Tough shit.
Tough shit, mate. They were then stood in front of a number of...
sat in front of
a number of Scots Guards, and one of them had a loaded rifle.
Yeah. And then the others didn't, but they all shot and aimed to kill.
There would have been blanks in the others. Because when I was looking at this, and before I got to the point where I was like, well, if they all shot at him, and say there's 5 or 6 in the squad, how the fuck did that chair survive?
I know. Well, I was always under the impression that they were all loaded guns, and that if you got killed by firing squad, that it was like you were just like riddled with bullets.
No, it's one.
I like that better.
It's one. And
unless, imagine the one person with the loaded gun had shitty aim and then like got you in the leg, and you're like,
if you're in the 3rd Battalion of the Scots Guards, darling, you've got a good aim.
I know, but I'm just saying, what if he's having an off day, sneezed when he like pulled the trigger?
So the idea being that one bullet would kill him, and the men responsible for being in the fire squad wouldn't know which one of them did. So it'd give them a bit of free from having known they've killed a man or executed a man. And the nice thing about this, the chair is still in the Tower of London.
I'm so dying to see it.
You can visit it, and it has like holes in the top of the back of it where the bullets have obviously passed through, but not as many as I would imagine. Like 12 people have been executed in that chair. I couldn't count 12 holes in it, so some of them have obviously gone between the spokes. At the back.
Yeah.
What I've kind of found interesting most about this is the fact that they decided to make it the Tower of London.
Yeah.
It's been a massive publicity thing to say, look, we've not executed anybody here for 150 years, but we're going to make a point of you. And it was probably for the public's morale.
Yeah,
at
probably
the time,
a bit.
say, look, these people have tried to defile British culture. We're going to do it in the most public place possible. But my takeaway from it is that, and most of my stories, I think, over the next couple will finish with, and they were executed chair. And I'll not do a description of the chair every time. We'll post a picture of it up. But I just find it baffling that people were willing to put their entire lives on the line to try and send shipping information.
I know that's not even that good, really, is it?
It would have been at the time.
It's not
We had no Air Force at this time. It was all naval. The Air Force we had was biplane, stuff like that, but it would have been entirely a naval war. The information you'd get from shipping would help devise plans for landing in the UK. But he was entirely working alone, other than telegrams that would have to be sent through the British system.
Yeah.
And to me, it doesn't take a genius to go, I've got a 1 in whatever chance of these being intercepted. And as soon as one of them's intercepted with your name
now you're on the clock.
you're being watched. He pleaded his innocence right up to the chair, but based on, I mean, I know I've given you fairly slim information about him. There isn't a huge amount of information about any of these guys because they're not treasured by the countries they came from.
Yeah,
and they're not spoken about much by British. They were spies. They were against the nation, executed. I will say, however, that the place I found most of my information about these guys is from a website called findagrave.com.
That's quite sad.
It's a really excellent website if you're looking into people who, and I think it's submission based. So if you find a grave, as it says, and you want to know a bit more about it, you can kind of research people and submit your stories and stuff like that. So a lot of what I've said there has been paraphrased from what was on Find a Grave. I couldn't see an author's name on it, otherwise I'd have given them a shout out here. But yeah, when I started looking into this, I went, "Oh, spy! This will be exciting." Really not. Sorry.
Oh, good. People are definitely going to continue listening.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, well, I find it interesting. I find the kind of the background to it. I like the stuff about the Tower of London, and I like the fact that they've chosen to make a point of it. And that's 2 stories I've told about spies now. Both of them, they're embassies in this country have asked for clemency because they've not wanted to be associated with them.
Oh.
Which I find a really interesting fact. But yeah, that's the story of the last man executed the last man executed in the First World War.
That's a good one.
Espionage.
I like how you said that'd be a shit spy, but do you know how I would have caught him? And just bear with me on this. I think this is an excellent way to rumble a spy with that kind of lie. Is I'd get him in a room on the table, buy fish. Tell me which one's the sardines, sir.
I think even I could do that.
Could you?
It's the one in the tin. Fuck off. Yeah, thanks very much. What most people don't know is I edit out a lot of times when you tell me to fuck off in this podcast. So yeah, that's my first of my spies. I'm try and do 2 from a long story next week and 1 for a short story the week after, and I think I'll probably just leave it at that.
I think that sounds reasonable.
If that's all right with you.
I'll allow it.
And then I'll go into pirates at some point during next year.
Please do.
There's a lot of pirates from the UK.
I really need to find that coin. It's bugging me that I don't know what I did with that.
Yeah.
I know it's somewhere.
You better find it, because I didn't take one specifically because I gave you one.
I have it. I know. I'll find it when I get in, promise.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, for listening today. I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas. I hope you're all still looking forward to a wonderful New Year. We have a big festive period planned for both of us.
Yes, we do.
I have a toddler's birthday party to plan.
Very fun.
And yeah, I've got 2 weeks off, so I'm going to make the most of it, I think.
Oh, lovely. That's nice.
Try and get this edited so that I don't have to think about it for the next couple of weeks.
I've got 5 days off over New Year, which I suppose might just about do me.
Yeah, that'll do you.
About.
If you have enjoyed what you listened to today and you aren't already a member of our social media followings, please do look us up. You'll find us on Facebook.
Twisted Britain.
You'll find us on Instagram.
Twisted Britain.
And you'll find us on Twitter.
Twisted Britain.
If you'd like to get a bit more involved and see where people are posting about sad wank, you can join us on our Twisted Britain discussion group. Which
is named as such, and you'll find that on Facebook.
It's the place where Nadine and I will chat to you as Nadine and I, rather than the Twisted Britain page.
Yes.
Which is picked up by whoever sees it first, pretty much.
Yeah, that's normally the way it goes.
You've You've heard us mention Patreon a couple of times this episode, and we're not drilling it down anybody's neck by any chance.
Not trying to.
But if you would like an extra episode a month, and would like to help support Twisted Britain, we'll always try and get better every time we record. You can find us on Patreon just by searching Twisted Britain on Patreon, or you'll find a link on all of our social media channels. Every one of our tiers will get you access to an extra episode a month, and there's extra bits and pieces that come with.
Yeah, a little badge, a little card.
And as you go up the scales, you'll get a discount on our merch. And if you take our top tier, you will be cordially invited to join us on an episode. And we'd love to have each and every one of you. It may take years if each and every one of you join, but we will get around.
We will do it.
We will make sure of it. I don't think I've got anything else.
I don't know that I've got much else to say today.
Well, thank you very much for listening.
Merry Christmas. I hope it was lovely. Happy New Year.
Stay safe, respect your bouncers, and buy a barmaid a drink.
Thank you, love you, bye.
Thank you, love you, bye.
'Tis the season to watch elf porn. Fa la 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 la.